You don't overthink because you're weak. You overthink because, at some point in your life, thinking was the safest place to live. You lie in bed replaying conversations that already ended. You analyze a tone, a pause, a look long after the moment has passed. Your mind keeps running simulations of futures that haven't happened, disasters that may never come, mistakes you haven't even made yet. And from the outside, people say the same thing over and over. Just relax. Stop thinking so much. You worry too much. But what they don't see is that your mind is not noisy by accident. It is on duty. You learned, quietly and early, that being mentally prepared was the difference between safety and pain. So your brain adapted. It became sharp, predictive, relentless. It learned to stay 10 steps ahead. Because falling behind once hurt too much. Here is the paradox, the cruel one no one explains. The thing that once protected you is now the thing that exhausts you. The vigilance that kept you safe now steals your sleep. The awareness that helped you survive now blocks intimacy. The thinking that once prevented pain now creates it. You don't live in the present till you monitor it. You don't rest, you stand guard. And the tragedy is not that your mind is broken. The tragedy is that your mind never learned it was finally safe to stop. Overthinking is not random anxiety. It is structured, learned, conditioned, psychologically. This pattern is rooted in hypervigilance, a state where the nervous system remains chronically alert, scanning for threat even in neutral or safe environments. Hypervigilance often develops in childhood environments that were emotionally unpredictable, critical, neglectful, or inconsistent. When safety was uncertain, your brain adapted by becoming a forecasting machine. Neuroscience. This shows up in the default mode network DMN, the brain system responsible for self-referential thinking, memory replay, and future projection. In chronic overthinkers, the DMN becomes overactive. The mind loops not because it wants to, but because it believes vigilance equals survival. Another key mechanism is anxious attachment. When early relationships taught you that love was inconsistent, conditional, or emotionally unsafe, your nervous system learned to monitor connection constantly. Overthinking becomes a way to prevent abandonment. I analyze everything. I won't be caught off guard. Philosophically, this mirrors what existential thinkers warned about. A mind severed from the present moment becomes both the observer and the prisoner. Imagine your mind as a watchtower built during a war. During the chaos, the tower saved lives. But the war ended and no one told the guard. So the watchtower remains occupied. Lights always on, eyes always scanning, muscles never unclenched. This is not a character flaw. This is a nervous system that never received the signal of safety. The deepest cost of overthinking is not anxiety, it is disconnection. You sacrifice spontaneity for control. You sacrifice presence for prediction. You sacrifice rest for readiness, and slowly, almost invisibly, you sacrifice yourself. Carl Jung once wrote, "Neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering." Overthinking is that substitute. It keeps you busy so you don't have to feel the raw grief underneath, the grief of not being held when you needed it. The grief of learning too early that safety was conditional. The grief of realizing that your mind became your parent. At the core of overthinking lies a single fear. If I let go, something bad will happen and I won't survive it. So you rehearse conversations instead of having them. You imagine rejection before connection. You feel guilt before pleasure. You turn simple decisions into moral trials. Even joy becomes complicated. Even rest feels unsafe. Even silence feels loud. That is the invisible grief of the overthinker. You are never fully here because you're always preparing for there. This pattern doesn't stay abstract. It shapes adult life in precise, painful ways. You might recognize yourself here in relationships. You overanalyze texts, tones, pauses. You sense emotional shifts before they're spoken and exhaust yourself trying to manage them. At work, you struggle to start or finish tasks because every action feels high-stake. Perfection becomes paralysis. With boundaries, you rehearse saying no but rarely do because conflict feels like danger. Emotionally, you intellectualize feelings instead of experiencing them. You explain pain instead of feeling it. Physically, your body stays tense even during rest. Relaxation feels unfamiliar, even suspicious. Internally, you gaslight yourself, telling yourself others have it worse, minimizing your exhaustion, dismissing your own needs. These are not personality traits. They are coping strategies frozen in time. Healing begins not by fixing but by witnessing, by noticing the pattern without shaming it, by saying this made sense once, it just doesn't serve me now. Unlearning starts when vigilance is met with compassion instead of criticism. Healing an anxious, overthinking mind is not about silencing thoughts. It is about teaching the nervous system that presence is no longer dangerous. This happens through inner child reparenting, learning to offer yourself the reassurance you never consistently received. Through shadow work, meeting the fear beneath the thinking instead of running from it. Through choosing softness where vigilance once lived. It means practicing rest without earning it, connection without rehearsal, presence without justification. The goal is not to stop thinking. The goal is to stop living only in thought. As philosopher Søren Kierkegaard warned, anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. Healing is learning not to escape that dizziness but to trust yourself within it. You were never broken, you were brilliantly adaptive. And now, you are allowed to adapt again. Not into someone fixed, but into someone whole. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who lives in their mind too. Subscribe not to be corrected, but to be understood, because the mind that learned to survive deserves to learn how to live.